It was the sharp click of the hammer that sent ice through my veins. 5 seconds. That's all it took for a petty neighborhood spat to spiral into a scene straight out of a horror show. One moment, my wife was standing at the edge of our driveway, calmly explaining why she parked where she did. The next, Susan, the HOA's self-appointed enforcer and our neighborhood's walking nightmare, was aiming a loaded handgun at her chest. I wasn't even supposed to be home. I'd cut my deployment short. As a Delta Force operator, I thrive on surprises. But nothing could have prepared me for what I saw that afternoon. We live in a place that looks like it belongs on a postcard, Maple Grove, with its towering oaks, neat lawns, and kids zipping by on bikes. But beneath the polished exterior, there's always tension brewing. And at the heart of it? Susan. Every suburb has one, but ours got the premium edition. She wasn't elected to the HOA, she just crowned herself the Queen of Maple Grove. From measuring grass blades to slapping fines on overly bright holiday decorations, Susan made it her mission to remind everyone she was in charge. Most folks just rolled their eyes and moved on. Until she crossed a line nobody could ignore. That day, she didn't just cross it, she obliterated it by pointing a gun at my wife. Let me back up a bit. My name's Matt. I've spent nearly a decade in Delta Force, navigating chaos, hostage rescues, covert ops, the kind of missions that stay buried in classified files. My wife, Claire, is my anchor. Sharp, compassionate, steady as a rock, even when dealing with Susan's daily nonsense. I'd been gone 6 months on a classified op. We stayed connected through patchy sat phone calls and encrypted texts, but it wasn't enough. I missed her. I missed home. When I got the chance to come back early, I kept it a secret, planning to surprise her. But fate had other plans. I pulled into Maple Grove just as Susan was losing it over a parked car. Claire had left our second vehicle, a slightly worn but trusty Jeep Cherokee, on the curb in front of our house. Not a fire lane, not blocking anything, just the curb under a tree. That was enough to unleash Susan's full fury. I parked around the corner to sneak up for the surprise. But instead of a warm embrace, I saw Susan screaming, arms flailing, charging toward Claire with a rage I'd never witnessed. "You can't park here. This violates HOA rules. I'm reporting you." Claire, ever composed, replied, "Susan, I've read the bylaws. There's no rule against parking on our curb. You're not even on the board anymore. You think you're smarter than me?" Susan snarled, her face contorted. Then, in a move no one saw coming, she reached into her purse and pulled out a pistol, a full-size Glock, not some small conceal-carry piece. I froze. She cocked it. Claire stepped back, hands raised, voice steady. "Susan, put the gun down." Instinct took over. 5 seconds. That's how long it took me to cover the distance. 5 seconds to weigh my options, call for backup, draw my own concealed weapon, or handle it barehanded. I chose barehanded. "Drop the weapon," I bellowed, my voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. Susan spun, startled, gun still up. "Matt," Claire cried. Susan's eyes widened at the sight of me, 6'2", in tactical boots and camo, barreling toward her like a tank. She hesitated. That was her mistake. In 2 strides, I grabbed her wrist, twisted just enough to make her yelp, and the gun fell, clattering on the pavement. She screamed, "Assault! He's assaulting me!" I didn't let go until she was pinned, my knee on her back, the gun kicked out of reach. Claire stood nearby, hands trembling, eyes locked on me. It all happened so fast. Neighbors poured out of their homes, phones out, some recording, some dialing 911. The Sherwood County Sheriff's Department arrived quickly, guns drawn, sirens wailing. But when they saw my ID, the gun on the ground, and a dozen witnesses, things calmed down fast. Susan was cuffed, shrieking about conspiracies and unfair treatment. She parked illegally, she wailed as they hauled her to the cruiser. She provoked me. The lead deputy glanced at me. "Delta Force." I nodded. He exhaled. Hell of a day to come home, huh? I turned to Claire, who was finally breathing steadier. Later, we sat on our porch, her head on my shoulder, a blanket around her. I thought I was going to die, she whispered. I know, I said, holding her close. But you're safe now. I've got you. Susan was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The Maple Grove HOA banned her from all future meetings, and the neighborhood rallied around Claire. Casseroles and cookies showed up at our door. Someone sent roses. Even those who'd ignored Susan's antics before started speaking out. Turns out, she'd threatened others, but this was the first time she'd pulled a gun and in front of the wrong guy. The aftermath dragged on. Court dates, depositions, lawyers. But Claire stayed strong, and so did I. Susan took a plea deal, probation, a mandatory psych evaluation, and a restraining order. Her house went up for sale 2 months later. It sat empty for months. Maybe the stigma kept buyers away, or maybe it was the rumor that the guy next door was Delta Force and didn't tolerate threats. We still live in Maple Grove, still past that curb where everything nearly fell apart. But now, there's a quiet we hadn't felt before. Every time I think about how close I came to losing Claire, those 5 seconds flood back. 5 seconds that reminded me why I do what I do. 5 seconds that showed danger doesn't always wait for a war zone. 5 seconds that ensured Susan would never terrorize anyone again. In the end, Susan moved away, her reign of petty tyranny over. Maple Grove became a true community again, bound by the shared relief of her absence. Claire and I grew even closer, our bond forged in the fire of that day. And as for me, I carry those 5 seconds as a reminder. No matter where I am, my mission is to protect the ones I love. That's the peace we've built, and it's one we'll fight to keep.